All right. Welcome,
Hey everyone.
everybody. Hello, hello, hello. Seth, can you hear me? Can you hear me well?
Asaf, I hear you perfectly. How you
Okay, I
doing?
hear you well. I hear you well. Okay, hope everyone is hearing us well. We are here in the Great Transition. Welcome, everybody who already joined us from various places. I can see Jacksonville, Florida, and I can see Brazil, and I see Utah, and I see Quebec,
All right.
Canada. I'm sure there's other places tuning in right
Yetzi
now
from Yetzi from the
from
Netherlands,
the Netherlands.
Isoke from wherever Isoke is from, Spencer on the spaceship station, California. All right.
Yes, yes. Okay,
Slightly
good.
slanted. Hello.
California, Minnesota, everyone's in the house. Okay, great. If you are here for the first time or watching this recording for the first time, then we want to welcome you to the Great Transition. That's what Seth and I are doing here. We're welcoming humanity to the Great Transition. The Great Transition is something that all of us are going through right now. We refer to the Great Transition as this weird, unprecedented, and possibly beautiful strange period that we're going through right now in human history. We are changing, we are evolving, and most importantly, we are one human family. We want to look at what's happening in the world through this lens of oneness, of being beyond our differences. Yes, we are different. Everyone comes from a different background, different ideas about life, different politics, and other preferences, but we're all bound by laws of nature, and that's what we want to explore, how nature is pushing us to our next state of evolution. That's why we're here, and hopefully you've come to join us. So, welcome everybody.
Oh, very
Seth,
nice, bro. You're getting good at that.
I'm dreaming it. I'm dreaming about it, so it gets better. And
Before
how
you
is
before you
that
op-
segue? How is that
Yeah, that was a
segue?
nice segue. Before you open it up, somebody asked what is a lucid dream, so maybe you could just explain
Well,
and
let's. Why the title? Why this title? I see
yeah.
that people are. First of all, it's just guys. We're just experimenting with seeing whether people actually read YouTube titles. That's it. That's the only reason why
We're
we
actually
came up
going
with.
to be talking about celeb Kim Kardashian all day, but we just wanted to see if we could just get some clickbait by writing lucid dreams. So
Yeah, I see. Triple S also gives me an approval rating here with the intro. So yeah,
yes, you did good.
forget. All right. So really, yes, we do want to talk about dreams. So here's what caught my attention. Right. This is what's caught my attention. So uh, scientists engineer dreams to understand the sleeping brain. So basically, there are scientists. First of all, it's interesting. Come on, it's interesting. Dreaming is an interesting phenomenon. You gotta stop and think about it. I mean, we're all dreaming or at least sleeping. We know that we're asleep a third of our lives, right? So it's
My dreams are
interesting.
frustrating the heck out of me because I keep ending up in these dreams where I can do things that I wouldn't normally do in my normal life,
Ooh.
but I behave as if I'm in my real life, so I don't actually get to do them. So it's just like all my dreams just lost opportunities.
Lost opportunities. I like that. You wake up like, what a
That's what I
lost
do. I wake up. I'm like,
opportunity.
damn.
Damn it. That could have been great.
Oh my god, look how red I'm turning here. Okay,
All right, nice. Okay, I'll redeem you from your redness
thank you. I need to
with
fix
this
my white balance.
with this
Okay,
headline.
thank you.
Okay, so look, what these guys are doing, this is legit scientists, right? Dream research is an actual field of research. There are people who are getting paid a lot of money, and they're getting resources in order to put people to sleep and try to manipulate all kinds of things in their environment while they're asleep and see what happens. So there's actually a bunch of things that this article covers. This is from a few days ago because they came up with some new findings and there's some interesting things. So I'm not gonna go into all the details. I do recommend reading it if you're interested in the topic. But there's one thing that really caught my attention with this, okay? And it has to do with lucid dreaming. So Yes, lucid dreaming, to to explain what it is for people who may have heard the term for the first time. Yes, it's that phenomenon where you are triggered uh, to a state of awareness while you are dreaming. So you become aware of your dream while you are in the dream. So did it ever happen to you? Did it happen to you? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I get inside of a dream and then I'm like, but I feel like the regular me. That's why I don't take advantage of it being a dream.
No, so you're not. So I don't know if you're. It means you're. Are you awake? Do you recognize that? Oh, it's a dream. Do you recognize that? Like, do you feel that when it's happening?
Mm, no, I don't think so.
No. So that's not lucid dreaming. Did you ever? Did
Okay,
you ever have a dream where you kind of woke up in the middle of a dream and you were still dreaming and you knew you were dreaming?
I don't think so. I'm not sure.
Okay, so you are one of the. It's a very unfortunate, man. I It's
Maybe I have. I
tough.
don't have a good
It's tough.
memory either, so
I
I'm not
hoped
sure.
we would be doing this show in a different kind of
I
I'm
let you
sorry.
down again.
I'm you. Okay, so you are one of those. um it's 50-50, more or less. That's what the research and the surveys say. So about 50% of the people, I think 55%, have had a lucid dream experience in life, and the other 45% didn't have. So you're from the 45%, I'm
Hmm.
from the 55. Let's put it like that. But it is very
I always
it's
like being
not.
the underdog.
But it doesn't mean that that the almost 50 people who the more than 50 people who had a lucid dream, that they had it frequently. Frequent lucid dreaming is actually very rare. Only 20 something percent of the people have a lucid dream at least once a month. So most people don't frequently have lucid dreams. So and the when you mentioned you waking up and feeling like a lost opportunity, which was funny. The What happens in a lucid dream is that there's a scale to the extent of awareness that you have in the dream. So it starts from, let's say, just being aware, oh, I'm dreaming, to all the way to
Okay, I've had that.
controlling.
I've had that for sure. I know
Okay,
I'm in
so
a dream sometimes.
yeah, that you know you're in a dream.
Yeah.
Okay, so you've had lucid dream. Okay.
Okay.
Um, we have we have a new finding, everybody. Seth had lucid dreams. Okay,
Okay.
but um, so that what I wanted to say is this: it can go all the way from just being aware that you're in a dream to controlling your dream completely, like, being the master of your dreamscape, being the designer of what you actually experience, which immediately sounds like lots of fun, right? So here's another fun thing. What are the two things that lucid dreamers try to do most when they
Boys or
recognize
girls?
they're in a dream? Say it again.
Men or women?
Both. I'm pretty sure
Well,
it
probably
applies.
probably flying.
So number one is flying, and
Yeah.
number two is having sex.
Yeah.
So this is like, isn't it make
I would have
doesn't it
got
make
100% on that test. I guessed
all
them both right.
makes all the sense in the world. All the sense in the world. Like, and that's what this is backed up by research, but it's also common sense, right? Because it's like the clearly, like, you want to fly and you want to have sex, especially if you're a man. Then yes, there are some other statistics that I've saw that men tend to dream about sex more than women. So I'm assuming that has to do more with the lucid dreaming as well. But yeah, these are the two activities in any case. What's funny about it is that it just represents how we're all similar. How at the bottom, at the end of the day, we're made up
Daylight or dark
by.
sky says that guys aren't very creative, I guess.
Well, well, I would I will not say something direct to this. I will just say that Freud associated sex with creativity and sexual urges with
Ah,
creativity quite a bit. So
touche.
let's uh, let's leave it at that. But no, it's interesting because from our perspective, looking at human nature, um, this is interesting because we, coming from this perspective of the human being as a sack of desires, as a bag of desires, it's very clear that that we will see these similar patterns. So it's funny because it's real, because it's true. Anyway, you want to go off on a
No, no,
tangent there,
I'm interested in
or
why you wanted to open up this
okay,
topic
why
today and
why am I
how you're
interested
gonna
in that?
relate
Yeah,
it to the wisdom of Kabbalah.
yes,
I'm interested, as the
I
audience is, to understand where this is going. The
yes.
friends.
The yes. Okay. So here's what they did. Let me go back to here, right? So in this long article, they cover all kinds of experiments that they did. This one was specifically interesting, so I won't read it. I'll just tell you. So basically, what they did there is they were looking for ways. The scientists, the dream researchers, are looking for ways to induce lucid dreaming. So to help you experience a lucid dream. Why would they do that? Well, we just heard, because you can fly and have sex. But no, seriously though, that it turns out that there's potentially all kinds of benefits to lucid dreamings that have to do with dealing with frequent nightmares and PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. So there could be some advantages to that. But honestly, I'm assuming that these scientists just want to learn how to fly in a dream, and the other thing. So in any case, they try to figure out how to do that. So one method they tried was was using all kinds of gadgetry that will. I'm just simplifying it because I'm coming to the part that's actually interesting for me, but I want to give you the whole context.
Okay.
So the one thing they tried is they put people to sleep, they put subjects to sleep, and then they try to stimulate their brains while they're asleep to help them experience a lucid dreaming, right? So they figure out the different frequencies, and using some gadgetry, they try to kind of like stimulate the brain to function on these wavelength that represent awareness while they're dreamed to a certain extent. They put all kinds of devices on the people that are going to sleep in their laboratories, so they can know when their skin reaches a certain temperature and their muscle tone is in a certain state, and they're so they can find out when is that moment when they go into RAM, rapid eye movement, which is that time, that stage that is most conducive to dreams in your sleep. And when that happens, they try to stimulate the brain with some electronic gadgetry. So that turns out to not work so much. The results are not really showing that they are able to induce lucid dreaming. But then they tried another method. And what they did is they trained subjects to become alert to specific sounds and light patterns while they're awake, right? So the subjects are awake at first. They train them to just be very alert and cognizant, and remember certain patterns of lights that flash at them, and the noises that they do, and so on. Then they let them go to sleep. Subjects go to sleep. They're being measured with their devices for when the REM state starts happening, rapid eye movement. And when it starts happening, they now play the same pattern of sounds and lights in the room while they're asleep.
Mhm.
And what they found was that this is has dramatic results in terms of it actually works. It actually works. This is the whole new thing, that's pretty much what the article is about. There's more in there, but this is one of the big things. So 50%, about 50% of the treatment group who went through this kind of experiment, they had lucid dreams, and the other control group, um, only 17% of them had a lucid dream. And the control group had the same kind of training, all of this is relevant to what I'm to
Yeah,
my
I'm
point,
wondering when you're gonna
which
tie
will
this all
come in
in.
soon. All of this is relevant, I assure you. But and yes, your camera is going crazy on us, man. I don't
Yeah,
know.
I know.
You're
I see
you're
that. I
you're
don't know what to
like
do about it. We'll
red.
deal with it another day.
You're super red. But okay. So 17% of the people were of the control group, 17% of the control group, only 17% as opposed to 50% had a lucid dream. They had only the training, but they didn't have reminders, right? You understand what I mean by training and reminders? So they were also trained to identify the light patterns and all that, but when they went to sleep in the lab, no signs, no lights or noises were played in the room. So what this is showing us is that using training and reminders, I'm considering making my colors purple just to just to identify with you, but you're becoming purple, man. It's extreme. Um, so using training and reminders, you can achieve a state of awareness while dreaming. You're with me?
Yes, I still don't know why I care about it though.
Okay. If you thought, our dear viewers, that our show was trippy so far, and this is too much for you, this is the time to log off and maybe come back in another episode where we talk about more earthly things. Here is why I think this is interesting. If we're talking about the point of view of Kabbalah, of the authentic wisdom of Kabbalah, if we're coming from the perspective of what you and I are doing daily, then this becomes very interesting. Because what scientists found here is that you can use training plus reminders to help you achieve a state of awareness, a certain state of consciousness while you're being uh, while you're asleep, while you're kind of fighting to be aware, right? And training and reminders help you. And I thought about it and felt like this is very, very similar to what you and I um, are doing every day. Essentially, when you're practicing the kind of method that we're practicing every day, what you're doing is you're spending a few hours every day on training to see reality as one, to see that there is one governing force of nature that drives all of this reality. It's all connected. There are no separate pieces, there are no foreign influences. It's one harmonious system, vastly interconnected. All the pieces are connected and interweave to serve this one function, which we call the purpose of creation. And then we go out of that practice where we go into the deep laws of how we can actually feel that unifying force of nature and how we can resemble it and how we can, we do what you and I are doing every day. And then we go out into the world, which Kabbalists refer to as a dream.
Imaginary world, yeah.
They call our world, Kabbalists refer to our world as the imaginary world. They say we were as dreamers when they refer to the waking up from this world into the true sense of that interconnected reality that we're practicing the sense of every day. So that's the training part. And then
So
we go
let's
out into the
just a
day.
minute, just a minute. Let's
Okay,
let's let's
okay.
just digress for or go off on the park on the side and talk about that for a minute. So what does it mean that that this world that we're living in is a dream because this feels to
Yeah,
everybody like it is
I
very,
knew
very real.
I can't just that this can't fly on this
Yeah, yeah,
show.
yeah. So
This is the
so
problem with yeah, yeah,
you want to just
yeah.
keep
No, no,
rolling or
no, 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 no.
can we
No, stop me. Let's make it explainable to
in the
people
in
who
the
are
US
listening.
when you're driving on the highway they have
Yeah,
these like it's called like a scenic rest point where you like pull out like if there's like a good view there's like a thing on the side of the highway you can like
yeah.
pull over and like get out and like look like that's what has to happen here. So If you just want to just talk about blah 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 blah, flying, sex, blah blah blah, oh, all of your life is just actually a dream. Hold on a second, we have to stop there because
But I gave a
uh,
disclaimer. I said it's gonna be trippy. Okay, yeah, no,
okay,
we
so
gotta, yeah. So
um,
help me.
if you took a very very extreme Republican and a very very extreme Democrat and put them, in the same room, they have a totally different perspective on the exact same reality. They hear words that, for example, the president is speaking, and one thinks is the greatest thing ever, and one thinks is like a Nazi or something like that. So this is not even like getting into the metaphysics or like into spirituality. This is just very very much like on the ground, simple, as simple as you can get. People see different realities completely, to the point that we can't even almost coexist. What happens when you start to bring these things together? They just start banging into each other. There's no symbiosis between them. What we're what you're opening up here really deserves, we should take a minute and talk about what is it, how are we perceiving this reality. Let me try something, and then if I'll use your help on this. Okay, so I have this new book that I'm writing, um, that takes these articles, these Kabbalistic articles, and really really simplifies them. So I've been doing a few readings with like regular people that are not involved in any way in spirituality, and I want to see if it's going to fly. Like, can I read this to some, can somebody read this and start to understand the concepts without any mention of the wisdom of Kabbalah, without any mention of religion or anything like that? I don't have a PhD. I'm not an, except for the wisdom of Kabbalah, which I've been engaged in for almost 2 decades. Like, I don't have, any great credentials. So why should anyone believe me? So I want to just see, like, when a person starts to read this book, is it self-evident? Is it clear enough? So I read it to a few people, and I got a comment a few times like, why are you so confident about what you're writing? You should probably just write like, this is my opinion. And I thought to myself, but it's not my opinion. It's laws of nature. So obviously I need to do a little bit of a better job there. So what we're talking about, how does a Kabbalist understand what's going on in this world so clearly? How can a Kabbalist with so much confidence say that everything that this entire life that we're in right
Right,
now is a
right.
dream,
Okay, okay.
because to 8 billion people, it feels very,
I
very real.
challenge accepted. Challenge accepted. We're. I hope yeah, we still have time. Okay. I think first of all, it is not imaginary at all. It is not loony to say that our whole reality, everything you see, is a virtual reality playing in your brain. This is
Let me
something.
say one thing which
This
is
is
totally absurd but
yeah,
true, and then you'll take it from there.
yeah,
There is no physical reality. Everything is a projection of our consciousness. There is no anything actually. If you took something on a string, and you like swing it around fast, like when you're a kid, you would like take something on you can't put your hand through it, right? Like, if you put one ball on a string but spin it really fast,
yeah.
it feels like a solid. You can't put your hand through it. So in actuality, this cup is mostly empty space, literally. Like, do the science later. Understand, this is mostly empty space. My hand is also mostly empty space. Very, 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 very small odds, but there is an odd that the chance that my hand would just pass through this if all of the empty spaces kind of lined up with each other at the exact moment. Probably not. But everything in physical reality is actually empty. Mostly, the majority of it is empty space, but it's all spinning. All the atoms are spinning. It appears physical, but that's even just in the physical reality. But even to go deeper than that, what the science explains now is that everything is just a projection of our consciousness. There's
Yes.
really no
Well,
physical reality.
well, the word consciousness is controversial, and even putting aside the term consciousness, there is an understanding. There is a scientific understanding today that the world that we imagine to be outside of us is a story that our brain tells itself based on all kinds of sensory stimulation that comes through our senses. But our senses are not actual openings. It's not like we see the world. Rather, there is some pressure that hits my retina, and that pressure in my brain is translated as a certain color, as a certain visual. The same thing happens with my eardrum, and the same thing happens with my tactile sensation, with my skin, and the same thing with the sense of touch, or the buds in your the nerve buds in your nose. So everything that we experience is an interpretation of some signal that's coming at us from outside. What's the signal? No one actually knows. No one can actually safely, empirically, scientifically say what is that signal that comes from the outside, because we are on the inside. We are always interpreting, constantly dynamically updating this picture of reality. Our brain does that by putting together all these approximations, and computationally putting together all of the sensory information that comes from our senses. So, Kabbalists go one step further and they say what you're experiencing is a certain kind of illusion. This corporeal world, this material world, is a certain kind of illusion produced by your brain. Kabbalist, Bala Sulam writes this in the item 34 in the preface to the book of Zohar. It's produced by your brain, and we can call this a certain kind of illusion, a certain kind of an imaginary reality, a certain kind of dream. What we're doing when we're studying the wisdom of Kabbalah, we are practicing waking up from the dream. In the dream, everything looks jumbled, confused. There's no specific order to what is happening. We all feel ourselves as 8 billion independent, separated beings. Nature doesn't feel like it's part of us. It feels like it's something we need to protect ourselves from, exploit when we can. We don't feel that everything is one perfect system governed by a governing force of nature that produces more and more conscious connection with itself. We don't feel that.
There's a
That's
certain law here that's called 10 and not 9, 10 and not 11.
hmm,
Um, it means that there's always this whole structure, regardless on where, like a hologram, regardless on where you enter into it, it's always this same whole. So when we look at this world and we don't see the connections between the things, what happens is each of the spiritual worlds uh, and more conceals that same 10, that same kind of completeness. So it's totally complete with no boundaries, no barriers, just one whole. We would be, for example, like a spark inside the sun. The sun, I think, is like 100 times the size of the earth. You can imagine something really big and imagine a tiny spark. Inside that sun, you would not feel yourself at all. But through one concealment and one spiritual world and another concealment, another spiritual world, another spiritual world. Like if you're trying to look at the sun, you can't make anything out. And then you start blocking it with the sunglasses in your hands, and all of a sudden you can see shapes and colors. So then by the time it gets here, we can start seeing that same reality, and we perceive it through this inanimate, vegetative, animate, and speaking, these four kind of degrees in nature, and it appears as outside of us. But like you're saying, as we start to arrange it, here's something very interesting. It's all everything that we perceive is really like the opposite of how it actually is.
hmm,
Even everything in this world is an imprint from its upper, right? It's the exact, everything that's happening here is exactly the same thing that's happening on each of the spiritual worlds in a different kind of lens, but it's the same process. There's nothing that's happening here that's detached from any of that. So here's something that's fascinating. when a baby, before a baby is born, the baby flips upside down. The
Yeah.
head, which is on the top, flips upside down in order for the baby to be born into into the world, and then he comes back up. Then his head comes back up, and he has all of these limbs and all of these faculties. He can't use any of them yet, and then eventually he starts to be able to use them. The entry into this new reality, also in a sense, is that same process of the head, flipping down, and almost like the desire, like the body represents like the desire, the head represents like kind of the calculation. It's like everything that we think in this world really needs to be flipped on its head in order to be born into the new. Oh boy, what's Chris going to show us? Be careful, Chris, we don't have a. Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay, so the baby, it starts out upright, and then it flips up. Okay, Chris. um it flips,
Not it,
it
it's
flips, the head is up, and then the baby has to flip upside down. So in order to be born, this phenomenon in our world is a model of that same kind of spiritual phenomenon, in order to be born into a reality where we can see and feel the, is it, would we call it the dream, the reality, wake up into this new
okay.
reality?
I would, okay. Let's give a simple example. Let's give a simple example. So in your in our reality right now in 2020, you wake up, right? You wake up and you see a world that is completely that is in many ways chaotic, shattered. People are fighting against other people, different interests are running the world. It's definitely not evident that we are all connected to each other, that we all are guided by one governing force of nature, that we're all moving to a state of further and further connection, right? It's not, that's not what you experience in our waking reality, wakefulness, state of wakefulness in 2020, right? But through training and reminders, you can begin to see that through the chaos. That's the point that I got excited by. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? And I found the what they're doing with lucid dreaming very similar in principle to what we're even doing with this show. We're giving a reminder and training and reminder. A reminder should happen while you're in the dream state, right? So reminders you should get while you are, as you're going through your world
So
and
that, so that we
watching the
could actually kind
news
of
and
wake up inside this dream.
exactly. That's the
Oh, I got it.
point.
Now I understand. It only took me 35 minutes to understand what you were doing here.
That's what I'm trying to get at. So when you watch the news and you get all agitated and you see that the left
Oh,
is
you need the
against the
flashing
right,
lights in the song and
you
whatever to remind you
need
what's the
you
real reality.
exactly. And if you train yourself in a sterile environment, like a neutral environment, if you train yourself regularly in a neutral environment, and then when you go back into the world, you get reminded by some reminders of that environment, you can begin to see the wholeness through the chaos, the oneness through the separation, the governing force of nature that's working through what seems to be a chaotic arrangement of all kinds of things that are happening, but not necessarily making sense. That's what I got excited about. So we can all go to sleep now, um, and have a lucid dream. Um,
So, no, I'm trying to wrap up what just happened here. So this is a dream. That's what the Kabbalists are saying. That's what the
okay,
sages are saying. That this reality is
wait.
itself is a
You
dream. So
you
how?
just you just inspired another example. Okay.
Okay.
did you ever have that situation where you go to sleep, you are you're asleep, the alarm clock, let's say, goes off, and then the alarm clock goes off, but you don't immediately wake up when the alarm clock goes off.
I love when that happens. You're kind of in that
You
foggy, like half dream
No,
state.
no, you stay
Oh,
asleep, you're dreaming, and the alarm clock penetrates your dream and becomes like some stupid police car chasing you.
yeah, I hate that.
Okay, okay, good, good. You're familiar with with that experience though. Then you
Yes, I
wake
hate it.
up, you snooze off the thing, you turn off the alarm clock, and you go, oh, that thing, that annoying ringing that kept ringing in my head was actually the alarm clock. But in my dream, it turned into a police car chasing you or some other frightening situation.
So
So,
when
so to pay it off,
yeah.
Kabbalists explain that everything that exists in reality is some formless unknown that we can call abstract light, or let's not get into it right now, but a force, a certain force that we don't know what it is. They admit we cannot attain the essence of that force, but what we can attain is that it's working on us. So it's constantly working on human desire and developing it and shape shifting it and molding it and evolving it. We exist within that desire, within the dream that this desire is having, while that formless unknown, that force, this abstract force, is shaping it and molding it and working on it. That's why I find the dream analogy really interesting, because our mind literally can create a visual scenario of your boss yelling at you in real life, and you have a fight with your spouse, and and you see on the news everything seems wrong, but actually there's a force that's trying to awaken you, like an alarm clock.
So if I
There's
see in my world around me a virus, I see political
ex-
parties fighting, I see people starting to riot in the streets. So in my if I'm stuck here, I might be getting very scared. I might be feeling things are out of control.
exactly.
I might be thinking that half of these people are stupid. But if I keep getting these reminders that that this is a dream, that there's a process
Mm,
unfolding, and through it I can start tying all of these pieces together, then all of a
yes,
sudden I see this big minus and this big plus working together, and I start rising
exactly.
up above what's happening on this
Right.
level, and I start forming for myself a new picture of the reality that before my eyes it looked like there was this right side and this left side fighting each other,
And
and
now
now
you
I
see
start to see
forces of
like
nature that are actually driven by one force of
expanding.
nature.
These
And
people are not animals anymore. All of a sudden they're bigger, and they want to live this different kind of life, and I see these. Wow. All right, nice.
and yes, and that's the awakening that I was trying to get at. Exactly that. That awakening into the real world is not that you wake up in some, people think of spirituality or about, attainment of some higher states of consciousness as something detached from this world, like a drug induced kind of trip, where you see all kinds of really cool colors and you go and fly above the skies or things like that. No, it's when you identify the governing forces of the actual reality that we're in right now. It's when you start um, seeing the patterns, the lines of code that are driving the show that's right in front of us, that are driving everything that's happening to us inside, how our thoughts and our desires arise and give us a certain feeling different every day, and how the different puppets of this world, including what you see on the news and what you see at work and your friends and your family, everything towards you, towards the observer, is shaped as a certain kind of through lines of code that are designed to bring each and every one of us one step closer to our evolutionary purpose. That's
depending
what it
on
means. Yeah, go ahead.
depending on what you took some kind of issue before when I said the word consciousness. What did we want to? What's the right
No,
word then?
just that, there's this debate in science whether, uh, consciousness comes from matter, or, which is primary, matter over, consciousness, or consciousness over matter. So what happened in evolution? You had particles and atoms building up and creating biology and creating primates and creating human consciousness, or consciousness was there all along. And,
Here's
so
where here's where
there's
this
always this
wisdom.
debate. I just wanted to get away from it to for
So we
yeah.
always speak about this development from inanimate to vegetative to animate to the human.
Yeah.
But where we differ from Darwin or science in that matter is that they're starting from that 0 point, and it just develops, and the strongest one or the most adaptable one, he wins, and he keeps developing. Where we're coming from is actually, again, every time we're going to talk about spirituality, we're going to have to do this. We have to flip it upside down. In fact, there's already a blueprint with the complete form, and that everything is just developing towards that complete form. It's kind of like from the end towards the beginning,
Yeah.
whereas Darwin is dealing with from the beginning to the end, so to speak, from the zero to the end. We're talking about already having the crown on top of
Well,
the man,
the,
and what we already know what the final form is. Of course, the final form is not something physical. I mean, we are the final physical form, so to speak. Meaning there could be
Darwin
little
was
modifications, but
Darwin was just, looking at the external world, and observing and taking notes and coming up with this theory that makes a lot of sense. And, there's a lot of logic in that things evolve over, long periods of time, with these adaptations that take a long time, and minimal mutations that take time and all that. But how is it possible that the Ari, the, giant Kabbalist, 300 years before Darwin, already said, yeah, the ape is basically the intermediate level between the animal and the human level. So where does that come from? He didn't spend time observing biology the way Darwin did, because he went into the lines of code through a different kind of research, but still research. He went into a different lines of code, because we are parts of these lines of code, and we have certain agency, we have a certain ability to observe them if we focus on it with training and reminders.
so
So
without the training and the reminders, the world that we see in this dream, we don't see a single force unifying everything. We see infinite amount of chaotic separate
exactly.
forces. We
Yes.
see conspiracies, and we see greed, and we see violence, and we see just clashes of every in the home. Inside myself, I feel at war. Everything. We don't see it
Yeah.
as one guiding principle.
And,
This is on purpose, because the benefit from that is that we have the opportunity then to feel alive, to feel that there is such a person as Slightly Slanted Sleuth. There is such a person called David Mancini. There are, um, without without this dream, we would just be absorbed into that singularity. So the benefit of all of this mess is that is where we can find our existence. And then, what did you call them? Reminders and
training and reminders. The
trainer.
the
Yeah.
the
Can you tell that the my window is open? Can you tell it's getting dark here?
It's
Through
getting
through.
very dark. It's all. I just gave it up already. Uh,
Okay.
Today you're purple. You're purple and dark, and it's
Okay.
probably it's
So
probably
so through
because
these.
I'm having a lucid dream or something. So no, but as you're fixing it, let me go off on a tangent.
Okay.
As we as I typical of me. The I would argue that the chaos is also increasing the sense of chaos of the human being. You know what I mean? Like in the past, like people lived in times of, you are going with the herd. You are, I don't know, you're a part 10,000 years ago, you're a part of, or 15,000 years ago, whatever. You're a part of a group of hunters and gatherers, and you're just going with them. Everything's clear. You need to eat. You need to make, you need to gather some food. You need to, whatever, like pick the food. You need to, you know what I mean? Like, or then we lived in times of kings. That's also a relatively clear kind of reality. You understand the kind of governing forces that are operating on you. There's a king, and I belong to him, and this is the kingdom that I am serving, and now the king wants us to do so and so. And the more we progress in human evolution, in our social evolution, the human psyche also evolves, and it becomes capable of dealing with more and more discrepancies, differences, contrasts, opposites, to the point that today you open the TV channels if you're in America, and you're not even sure who's going to be the president in the few days, depending on what channels you watch. You know what I mean? So there is
I mean, not
this.
not not only that. I mean, you don't know. Is a person a boy or a girl? Is like everything that we thought
Sure,
made
sure.
some sense is just being washed. Kind of.
Everything, yes, the ground is shaking under our
Yeah.
feet. The constructs of the we what's okay. There's a bunch of examples. Everything, I'm watching myself because I know that everything we might say will sound controversial if you look at it from within the dream. You know what I mean? Because we get attached to all kinds of identities that we have, that things that are happening in the world that we relate to our identity. And without this training to see the bigger picture, it may sound like we're attacking this side or the other side. But we're just pointing out that we are more confused, we are more separate from each other, we are more full of contrasts and question marks and opposites than we ever were in human history. And this is a trajectory. This is something that's happening. This is a certain aspect, a necessary aspect, like you said, of the evolution of human consciousness. This needs to happen. This is sort of like and to bring in the great transition into context, this is sort of like when a dream becomes weird, that you start realizing that it's a dream. You know what I mean? It becomes, when reality becomes surreal, you start asking whether you're dreaming. When a
Mm.
dream becomes nightmarish and weird, you sometimes wake up and recognize it's just a dream. What we're up against right now, if we want to solve the problems that we have in the world, we can't solve them. We're not supposed to solve them. We're not supposed to try to eliminate this side or the other side. We're supposed to wake up into a
Very, very
higher.
good to see that.
Yes.
We'll see, for example, if Biden becomes the president, it'll be very good for everyone to see that nothing good will come. Not because it's that we're for Trump or against Trump or for Biden or against Biden. The point is that the solution that's needed now is the unity of humanity. You can put Mickey Mouse in the president, it doesn't matter. The people there needs to be a spirit of unity. After we have a spirit of unity, then you'll deal with whoever is going to, the leadership will probably be some kind of council of a bunch of wise people, probably men and women who are wise and understand life and understand the system and understand how everything is connected, and they're not constantly swayed by outside influences and all of that stuff. So what happens is.
See, no, I just have to point this out because obviously, we were just saying we need to watch out because I'm sure that for some people hearing you now, it's very difficult to like wait a minute, but I think that this, this one is better than that one. You know, we're what you're saying is not that this one is better than the other one. What you're saying is that our purpose in our evolution is to discover that it's neither this nor that that is going to take us to a better life.
No,
It's
the
not
people
it's
here are
not
going
going
to
to
take us
be.
to a better life.
Yes, and the efforts that we make to awaken ourselves and thereby awaken the whole of reality, because the collective consciousness of mankind works like a ripple effect, right? Yes, this is coming directly from the wisdom of Kabbalah. the the awakening of humanity, the collective consciousness of humanity, this collective awakening, it works like a ripple effect. So every time when there is a pocket that begins to awaken, that sends ripples throughout the whole human body, so to speak, collective body of humanity, so to speak, which kind of tells it to wake up. And what we're doing on the show is what we're doing right now. That's exactly that. The Go ahead, man. That there's just too many tangents that we can
There's a
get into
lot of
here.
tangents that could go on here.
Too many.
So
Yeah.
when what happens is I'm only capable of seeing reality through my eyes. Okay, I was born in a certain town, in a certain state, in a certain country, and I'm only, I when I think of love, for example, I think of a certain song from the '80s. When I think of valor, I think of a movie from the '90s. When I think of triumph, I think of
Mm-hmm.
some everything that I'm made of was what was fed to me. Somebody else from China who was given different history books and different heroes, and then somebody from an African village has different heroes, right? So we all have a completely different perspective, but the true reality is that everything is connected. It's not like because I was born in New Jersey and someone else was born in Beijing, that somehow what I believe is better than what they believe, or what they believe is better than me, or we need to fight and have a nuclear war over it. The true reality is we're all part of one. My dream is that what I experience is real, because I don't feel anyone outside of my reality. I can't feel what people are feeling in some other country. I mean, actually, I do feel, but I'm not aware that that's what I'm feeling. We all are actually very, very sensitive to what's going on around us, but we're not clear that that's what we're feeling yet. Why? Because I had feelings, and then um, maybe you can relate to this. You wake up in the morning, you're feeling really upset, frustrated, maybe gross, and you like, your spouse does something, and you just let her have it, or your kids do something, you let it, because that's who's in front of me. That's who I see as the source of my problem, right? But it may have nothing to do with it at all. I have a feeling that's awakened in me, and based on what I perceive, I have to say, oh, it's because of money. It's because of the spouse. It's because of this. It's
Yeah.
because of that.
Yeah.
What I'm feeling may have something going, may be because I'm connected to this whole system. What I'm feeling may be a result of something that's happening in another part of my body, my spiritual body, so to speak, in another part of the world. But because I can only perceive what's coming in my five senses, I'm naming it something that's right here in my hands.
And
So
we
when I
get attached. We get attached to these names and these things that we identify as ours. You know what I mean? Like we get very attached to that. We build
build whole
our.
stories about
Yeah.
it with theme songs and
Yes.
clothing and books around each of our lies, each of
Yeah.
the lies that each of us is living. So um, when I find other people that are on this path with me, that are that I've tested, and I know that these people are with me uh, on this journey, and we share this same goal. Then when I see things in that person that go against my own ego's perception, right? My ego wants to reject and ignore them, but I can leave that alone. But really, what I want to do is I want to understand. I want to go to a degree that's above that. Like, for example, if you have, a mom doesn't see any flaws in her children, right? Like there could be like three
Yeah.
kids at the playground, and the mom thinks her kid is the cutest, and her kid is the this, and her kid is the that. When we start to, at first with our inner circle, and then later with more and more outer circles, when we start to treat the others around us like a mom would treat her own kids, even if I see a quality in you that is annoying to me, even if I see something about you that's really pissing me off. But if I understand that the reason why it's annoying to me and pissing me off is because I have lived my entire life in a small box, in a small town, in a small state, or in some city or somewhere, and that's all I see. Of course, I can't see the reality. I'm living totally in a dream. I have no idea what's going on in someone else, in my neighbor's house. I have no idea what's really going on in reality. I only know what's going on in my tiny, tiny
Yeah,
box.
that's the
So now,
dream. That's the dream. The dream is that constant filter. What's creating the dream? The dream is that constant filter that we have to filter everything that happens to us through how does it affect me? How does it benefit me? How can I avoid pain and move towards greater pleasure? And we're in this constant paradigm, this box, this code that governs and dictates all our thoughts and all our reflection, our observations on reality, and that's how we experience it. So, awakening from the dream has a lot to do with expanding our formula, our program of thinking and feeling. Kabbalists call this intention, developing a new intention, which essentially is a new prism through which you see all of reality. You see you, that individualistic ego dissolves into a a bigger consciousness. You don't disappear. You don't dissolve. Your egoistic illusion dissolves into this greater consciousness that you're now a part of and you are in partnership with. And this is where we get too trippy for a show that needs to end in uh, in 2 minutes. So, Seth, I want to
you know,
say you want to.
I was just realizing, Bright's not here today, and we didn't get to questions at all.
I wanted to say something about the chat as well. I'm seeing, here's what we do. I'm seeing a bunch of things that happened here in the chat. I did manage to notice some of the things while we were kind of at it, but not everything. And I'm sure we missed some great additional thoughts or questions or ideas from our friends here in the chat. Let's do this. Let's dedicate the next show, which is Thursday. Thursday p.m. 2 p.m. Eastern time. This Thursday 2 p.m. Eastern time. Let's do our whole episode, the whole hour. Like maybe take away just a couple of minutes in the beginning for just anything like a variety kind of.
Q
Let's
and A.
not Yeah, let's not commit to like a one topic that we want to explore and just see if our friends, anyone who's watching this show and in this conversation with us wants
Okay,
us
so
to
bring
to
all
to
your
delve into
questions.
anything. Yes. So
Bring
let's
everything.
do that. Yes, Q&A. Let's call it a Q&A session next this Thursday. This Thursday, 2 p.m. Eastern. So I would say just throw whatever questions or topics you want us to dive into, and we will try to make them not long. I think, like not spend a long time on something, but really try to get to as many as we can. Let's try to do that. Let's see what happens. And let's just say, put your questions. You can put them on the comments here if that's the easiest way for you. Just on the comments in this under this video, and we will look at them and base the next conversation on these questions. And also, whatever you'll ask live, we will do that as well. That's what I wanted to say.
All right.
Um, what do you say, bro? Concluding words? Say something poetic about dreaming dreaming up a new reality.
No, let me. How you would you agree to a live song maybe?
All
Just to.
right. Did you hear
Okay.
that, everybody?
Let
Did
me
you
grab the
hear that?
guitar.
Before he regrets. Before he
No,
regrets.
no, I played this song this morning,
Go,
so
go. Bring
I'm
your
ready to.
guitar.
Okay,
Bring your
okay.
guitar. We all agree. We all want this to happen. Yes. This is not a dream. This is not a lucid dream. This is a lucid reality. Seth Brightman is going to bring his guitar and give us a live song. Um, okay,
You weren't
just
supposed to see that I'm wearing sweatpants. I was supposed to be business on top.
alrighty. You got your maybe do a quick
Okay,
test. Maybe do a quick
okay, yeah.
a quick kind of yeah. Yeah, that
Let
sounds
me
nice.
post the. Let me see if I can post the lyrics in the. Let me get the lyrics here and post them in the chat for
Let's
anyone
do
who
it.
wants. Hold on. How can I do that? Let's see if this works.
What do you want
Nope.
to do?
I wanted to post the lyrics in the chat.
Okay, just send them to me and I'll do it.
Okay, I'll sending them to you now.
Or Chris.
Okay, Chris, here they are. I got you handy.
Okay, I do think you need to maybe bring your microphone just a little bit closer so we hear your voice as well.
Okay, cool.
It is happening, you guys.
All right. All right, just give me a thumbs up that you can hear me okay, all right?
Yes.
Face after face, race after race, from one cage to another. Mask after mask, task after task, lost in the sands. Through you there's a cry, through you there's a light, a place to be discovered. Through you there's a way, together we pray to rise, to see the face of love through your eyes. Together as one, now we rise, and every word an echo from the skies, breaking the walls, hearts unite. And in you I see a picture of me, in you I find my flaws. Through you there's a key, a place where we can open doors. Together we yearn, the fire it burns, a chance to feel alive. A song from the heart, singing that love will cover all crimes. To see the face of love through your eyes. Together as one, now we rise, and every word an echo from the skies, breaking the walls and hearts unite. To see the face of love through your eyes. Together as one, now we rise, and every word an echo from the skies, breaking the walls and hearts unite.
See you on Thursday, everybody.
Bye, everyone.